He left at 15 with a broken heart. He came back at 30 with $1 billion empire and only one woman on his mind. Charlotte, Texas always smelled faintly of roasted coffee and sun-baked sidewalks, two things Hudson Holt could never forget, no matter how many cities he lived in or how many boardrooms he conquered. Years later, he would still swear Charlotte had its own heartbeat, one that pulsed in sync with a girl who once made him believe forever could fit inside the palm of two teenagers' hands. But back then he was just a 15-year-old boy, lanky, hopeful, with a too big heart, and a face still caught somewhere between childhood and manhood. And she, Vania Young, was the 12-year-old girl who could draw entire worlds with a pencil and a scrap of paper. Their story began in the most ordinary of places, a crowded church hall, buzzing with teenagers rehearsing for the annual youth program. Hudson Holt and Vania Young, the youth coordinator, called, squinting down at the clipboard. "You two will perform the spoken word piece." Hudson looked around, unsure who he was even supposed to walk toward. Then he saw her, standing alone near the windows, her braids falling over her shoulders, sketchbook tucked under her arm like a shield. She raised her hand shyly. He walked over, trying not to look as nervous as he felt. "You're Vania?" he asked softly. "Uh-huh, and you're Hudson?" He nodded. "Yeah, nice to meet you." She smiled, a small warm curve of her lips that hit him in the chest like sunlight. "Nice to meet you too." From the first practice, something clicked between them. They memorized lines together, rehearsed rhythms, and laughed when Hudson messed up his cues, which happened often. Vania always encouraged him. "You just need to breathe," she told him one afternoon, placing a gentle hand on his wrist. Hudson stared at the contact like it was a miracle. "I do breathe." "You breathe loud and panicky," she teased. "It's okay, I'll help you." She did, every day. And after rehearsals, he started walking her home, first out of politeness, then because he couldn't not. Her father's coffee shop, Young's Coffee Cove, sat on a corner near their church, its windows always fogged with warmth and the smell of cinnamon buns. Her dad welcomed Hudson from day one. Young Holt he'd greet with a laugh. "Back again to drain my hot chocolate supply." Hudson would grin, sliding into the same booth Vania always chose. Only if Vanya's drawing, because that was how their afternoons went. Hudson doing homework, Vania sketching him without asking, her pencil swishing against paper like it had its own heartbeat. He loved watching her draw. She did it effortlessly, capturing him with soft lines, his messy hair, his thoughtful stare, the way he chewed the ends of his pencils. One day she slid a finished drawing across the table. It was him, leaning over his workbook, focused, serious. "You made me look better than I do," he said quietly. "You just don't see yourself the way I see you," she replied. That was the first time Hudson called her my Black Queen. He said it gently, reverently, as if the words were too big for his mouth. "Why would you call me that?" Vania asked, her cheeks heating. "Because you're beautiful," he murmured, "and strong and brilliant. Queens are all those things." She stared at him, stunned, silent. And that was it. They were inseparable after that. Church, coffee shop, walks home, quiet talks about their dreams. Hudson told her he wanted to build something great someday, something that would make the world better. She told him she wanted to help kids see beauty in themselves through art. "You will," he told her every time. "You're gonna change the world." Vania would blush and shake her head, but she believed him. Somehow she always believed him. What they had was pure, too pure for the world they lived in. Especially for the Holts. Hudson's parents were wealthy, billionaire wealthy. His father controlled Holt Industries, one of the biggest aerospace manufacturing companies in Texas. His mother hosted charity galas and appeared in society magazines, always dressed like she stepped out of a luxury catalog. Vania came from a different world, a world of hard work, single-income households, and hand-painted open signs at her father's shop. And of course she was Black. The Holts were never openly hateful, just quietly, painfully prejudiced, cloaking their disapproval behind phrases like, "It's not appropriate and different worlds can't mix." So when they saw Hudson gravitating toward Vania like she was gravity itself, they panicked. They scheduled meetings with private school counselors. They worked favors with university deans. They whispered plans behind locked doors. And one day Hudson came home to find a letter waiting for him. A full scholarship to an elite engineering program in Austin, 3 cities away. His parents acted thrilled. He felt sick, because he knew this wasn't about education. It was about separation. The night before he was forced to leave, he walked to Young's Coffee Cove for the last time. Vania was closing up with her dad, wiping down tables. When she saw Hudson standing there with tears in his eyes, her heart dropped. "What's wrong?" she whispered. Hudson swallowed hard. "My parents, they're sending me to Austin for university." "I leave tomorrow." Vania froze, cloth falling from her hand. "Tomorrow already, but I thought you were staying here for senior year." "I thought so too," his voice cracked. "I don't want to go." Her father quietly stepped into the back, giving them privacy. Vania reached for Hudson's hands with trembling fingers. "So this is it, you're leaving?" "No," suddenly, fiercely, he shook his head. "No, Vania, I'm coming back. I swear it. I swear it on everything I am. He'll always come back for you." Her tears spilled silently. "Please don't make a promise you can't keep." "I'll always find my way back," he whispered, pressing her palm to his chest. "Always." They hugged for the first time, tight, trembling, desperate. It felt like goodbye. It felt like forever. Austin was bright, fast, and cold in all the ways Charlotte wasn't. His parents quickly expanded their empire, opening a massive branch of Holt Innovations, a cutting-edge space tech manufacturing company that attracted engineers from around the world. Hudson rose through the ranks with terrifying speed, even for someone as brilliant as he was. Young executive, project lead, strategic manager, vice president in training. But while his resume grew, his personal life froze in time. He never dated, never entertained the wealthy daughters his mother paraded in front of him, never let anyone touch the part of his heart that belonged to a 12-year-old girl who used to draw him with soft pencil strokes. Every birthday he wondered what Vania was doing. Every holiday he thought of the coffee shop. Every night when Austin glittered outside his penthouse, he stared at the skyline and whispered the same quiet promise. "He'll come back for you." But somehow 15 years slipped by. Time moved. Life changed. His heart didn't. Weeks before his 30th birthday, Hudson woke up in his penthouse and realized something terrifying. He had everything and yet nothing. He was successful, wealthy, admired, and utterly painfully lonely. He thought of Vania, her laugh, her sketches, her belief in him, something no one else had ever given him so gently. He couldn't take it anymore. At breakfast, his mother mentioned the guest list for his birthday gala. Politicians, tech leaders, society elites. Hudson set his coffee down. Him spending the weekend with a friend. His parents exchanged suspicious looks. He never visited friends. He barely had any. But before they could question him, he grabbed his car keys and left Austin behind. The drive to Charlotte felt like driving back into a memory. Roads he used to bike, streets he once walked with Vania after youth rehearsals, places that still whispered her name. And then there it was, Young's Coffee Cove. Same brick walls, same sun-faded awning, same warm scent of cinnamon and roasted beans. He stepped inside, and her father looked up, stared for a long moment. Time folded in on itself. "Hudson Holt," he asked softly, disbelief in his voice. "Is that really you?" Hudson smiled, his throat tight. "Hi, Mr. Young." The older man smiled, then pulled him into a hug. "She always hoped you'd come back," he said quietly. Hudson's breath caught. She did. Every single year." Mr. Young gestured toward the window. "She's not here now. She runs an art center for kids, built it from nothing." Pride warmed his voice, overflowing, deep, fatherly. He scribbled an address on a coffee sleeve. "Go, she'll want to see you." Hudson's hands shook as he took the slip. After 15 years, he was finally going to see her again. The Children's Art Center was tucked into a renovated warehouse painted with bright murals. Kids' laughter floated through the open doors. Hudson stepped inside, heart pounding. She was across the room, helping a little girl clean paint from her hands. Older now, her features sharpened, her hair longer, her presence warmer and stronger than he remembered. Vania Young. He whispered her name before he could stop himself. She looked up. Their eyes met. For a long second, she didn't really recognize him. Why would she? He wasn't the boy she sketched anymore. His shoulders were broader, his jaw sharper, his face more mature. He carried power now, confidence, authority. But then slowly her eyes widened. Her lips parted. Her breath hitched. "H. Hudson," she whispered. He nodded, voice breaking. "Hi, Vania." The paintbrush in her hand slipped to the floor. She walked toward him like she wasn't sure he was real. Her fingers trembled as she touched his face, tracing the stubble on his jaw. "You came back," she whispered. "After all these years, you actually came back." He covered her hand with his own, leaning into her touch. "I promised, didn't I?" Her voice cracked. "I thought you forgot me." "I never forgot you. Not one day." Her tears fell, slow and disbelieving. He pulled her into him, arms wrapping around her like he'd waited half a lifetime for this moment. They talked for hours about life, art, business, dreams, everything they missed. The connection was instant, powerful, electric. As the sun dipped low, Hudson took a breath. "Vania, my 30th birthday is in 2 weeks. I want you there, please." She hesitated, uncertainty clouding her eyes. "Hudson, your parents never wanted." "I don't care what they wanted," he cut in firmly. "I want you, I want us." She looked down, twisting her fingers. "It'll come," she whispered finally. "But Hudson, your world once pushed me out. I don't know if I belong in it." He stepped closer. "You belong wherever I am." Her breath caught. But as he held her hands, Vania felt a small, quiet fear curl inside her chest, a fear that the past wasn't done with them yet. She agreed to go to his birthday. But deep down she feared his world, wealthy, cold, judgmental, might break her heart again. And this time she wasn't sure she could survive it. Austin sparkled in the way only a wealthy city could, ruthless, polished, glittering with lights that never dimmed. And tonight, the lights burned brighter than usual as limousines glided toward the Holt mansion, spilling out people dressed in designer gowns and tailored suits. Every guest had come for one reason. Hudson Holt was turning 30. His parents had planned the event meticulously. No expense spared, no detail overlooked. The massive ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers, guests murmuring over champagne and imported delicacies. It was a night meant to celebrate power, prestige, and the future heir of Holt Innovations. Hudson stood near the entryway, greeting guests with polite smiles, his eyes drifting constantly toward the doorway. He barely heard the compliments, the business propositions, the flirtatious hints from wealthy women hoping to catch his attention. He was waiting for one person. His mother leaned over and whispered, "Smile genuinely, darling. Tonight is important." Hudson ignored her, because his heart was in the driveway, where a simple black sedan was just pulling in. Vania stepped out of the car slowly, her breath catching as she looked up at the mansion. It towered above her like a castle carved from wealth, every window glowing gold. Music drifting through the open doors. She felt underdressed, overdressed, too visible, too invisible all at once. But she had promised Hudson she'd come. She wore a deep emerald gown that hugged her curves, her skin glowing under the soft outdoor lights. Her hair was styled in soft curls that framed her face. Her makeup was gentle, enhancing her natural beauty, not masking it. She looked like a dream. Hudson saw her, and for a heartbeat he forgot to breathe. Everything around him went silent. The music, the chatter, the clinking glasses gone. It was just her. His Vania. He didn't wait another second. He walked straight toward her, his steps purposeful, eyes burning with something too raw to hide. His parents watched curiously from across the room, expecting a potential business partner or diplomat. They had no idea. Vania entered the ballroom timidly, eyes wide as chandeliers reflected in them like stars. Whispers rippled instantly. "Who is she? Look at that dress, stunning." But she heard none of it. She saw only him. "Hudson," she breathed. "Vania," he said softly, taking her hand. "You're breathtaking." Heat rushed to her cheeks. "I almost didn't come. I thought I wouldn't fit in." "You fit perfectly," he said firmly. "Don't let this place fool you. You're the most radiant thing here." When he took her hand in front of everyone, gasps went through the room. Then his parents turned and froze. Their smiles faltered, confusion knitting their brows. His mother whispered, "Who is that?" His father narrowed his eyes. But Hudson didn't care. He held Vania's hand tighter, pulling her gently into the crowd as conversation started again, only this time with an undercurrent of curiosity and judgment. He introduced her proudly to everyone, CEOs, politicians, investors. "This is Vania Young. She's very important to me." Every time he said it, Vania's heart thudded against her ribs. But not everyone smiled. Some nodded politely. Others offered stiff greetings. Yet Hudson never left her side, not even for a moment. Hours passed. The cake was cut. Gifts were opened. Toasts were made. And the entire time Hudson's parents watched him with growing worry. When the last guest left, Hudson gently tugged Vania's hand. "Stay here," he whispered. "There's something I need to do." She nodded. "Okay." Hudson turned toward his parents, jaw set, heart steady. It was time. His study felt heavy the moment the door clicked shut. His parents stood near the fireplace waiting, stiff as statues. "What was that spectacle?" his father asked sharply. "You parading that girl around like don't finish that sentence." Hudson's voice was calm but steel-lined. His mother stepped in quickly. "Hudson, sweetheart, we're only worried. That young woman, your worlds don't match. You don't know her," Hudson replied. "And what exactly is she to you?" his father demanded. Hudson inhaled. "The woman I love. And the woman I intend to marry." Silence shattered like glass. His mother's face paled. "Hudson, don't be ridiculous." "I'm not." His father's voice boomed. "Then understand this, if you continue with her, you lose everything." Hudson blinked. "Everything?" "The inheritance. The company. The estate. Every resource, every connection, every door we opened for you, all gone." His mother added urgently, "We're trying to protect your future. That girl has nothing." And mixing families, Hudson's fist tightened. "Enough." His mother flinched. "I built my life around this company," he said quietly. "But I won't sacrifice the woman I love for money or pride." His father scowled. "Then you're making a foolish choice." Hudson stepped back from them. "I'd rather be a poor man with her than a rich man without her." He meant it, he knew it. But what he didn't know, what none of them realized, was that the study door wasn't fully shut. Vania stood there, tears filling her eyes, her breath shaking. She hadn't meant to eavesdrop. She had simply come looking for Hudson and heard everything. Every cruel implication, every threat, every consequence. And she realized with a crushing weight that staying with him would destroy his life. She couldn't let that happen. Before anyone noticed, she slipped silently down the hall, her heart shattering with every step. The butler, Mr. Thomas, was in the foyer polishing silver when Vania approached him with trembling hands. "Miss," he asked gently, "is everything all right?" She shook her head. "No, but it will be once I leave. Should I inform Mr. Holt you're heading out?" She felt her throat close. "No," she whispered. "Just tell him I'm sorry, and tell him to live the life he deserves." Mr. Thomas's expression softened. "He'll come after you. Not if you don't tell him which direction I went." He hesitated, then nodded solemnly. She squeezed his hand gratefully and walked out into the cold Austin night, blinking back tears as she called a taxi. By the time Hudson left the study, she was gone. And Mr. Thomas delivered her message. Hudson didn't hesitate. He walked straight upstairs, grabbed a duffel bag, walked out of the mansion, and into the night, leaving his legacy behind with nothing but determination in his chest. He drove through the night, headlights carving through the darkness, Charlotte pulling him like a magnet. When he finally reached Vania's small home at dawn, he found her sitting on the porch steps, knees drawn to her chest, face streaked with tears. She looked up when she heard the car. Shock flared in her eyes. "H. Hudson, what are you?" He walked straight to her, cupped her face, and kissed her forehead. "I didn't lose anything," he whispered, voice rough with emotion. "I found you." Vania broke. Tears flowed again, but this time with a different kind of ache. "Hudson, your parents can keep everything," he said firmly. "I don't need any of it." She shook her head, overwhelmed. "This will change your whole life." "So did you," he whispered. And just like that, they began again. As equals, as partners, as two hearts choosing each other over the world. Hudson moved into a small apartment 2 blocks from her art center. He traded tailored suits for rolled-up sleeves, polished loafers for paint-splattered sneakers, and he became a part of Vania's world. He repaired old furniture, helped repaint murals, organized donations, and charmed children until they followed him like ducklings. Parents admired him. Kids adored him. Vania fell even deeper in love with him. Together, they expanded the center. He secured grants, designed new classrooms, developed after-school programs. He even built a small tech corner for older kids to learn robotics and creativity. News stations caught wind of it. Billionaire heir spotted painting walls at local art center. Hudson Holt trades corporate life for community service. Every article reached the Holts. They watched their son, smiling in paint-stained jeans, surrounded by laughing children. He didn't look broken. He looked freer than they had ever seen him. One quiet evening, Hudson was cleaning brushes when his phone buzzed. His mother. He stared at the screen, unsure. Vania squeezed his arm. "Answer it." He did. "Hudson?" His mother whispered, voice fragile. "May we see you?" His father came on the line next, tone softer than ever. "We were wrong. You aren't unhappy. And that young woman, she's remarkable." Hudson froze. His mother continued, "You may marry anyone you choose. We won't stand in your way." His chest tightened painfully. "Son," his father added quietly, "come home. We miss you." Hudson looked at Vanya through teary eyes. Maybe the world could change after all. That night, Hudson tucked a velvet ring box into his pocket. He was ready. Ready to propose. Ready to give Vanya forever. But deep down, he wondered, after everything his parents did, would Vanya believe they truly accepted her now? Hudson Holt had rehearsed the moment 1,000 times. Yet when he stepped through the double doors of the Charlotte Children's Art Center that morning, all the rehearsals dissolved into thin air. The familiar smell of acrylic paint and construction paper hit him first, sweet, nostalgic, grounding. He glanced around the sunlit gallery, space where children's masterpieces covered every wall. Dragons with rainbow wings, family portraits with crooked smiles, galaxies painted by small, hopeful hands. And there she was. Vanya stood near the center easel, showing a group of kids how to blend blues and whites into a sky. A loose curl escaped her bun and brushed her cheek as she laughed. Light, warm, the same laugh he had memorized 15 years earlier. The moment her eyes lifted and met his across the room, the kids' chatter became a distant hum. Her brush stilled. Her breath caught. Hudson swallowed hard. This is it. His parents' blessing echoed in his ears, soft, hesitant, but real. Their apology had been fragile, as if afraid their son would not take it. Instead, Hudson had embraced them, because he wanted Vanya's future to be free of old shadows. He wanted this moment to belong to her entirely. Kids, Vanya said gently, still staring at him. Give me a moment, okay? A chorus of tiny okay and bye, miss. Vanya filled the room as they scampered into the next classroom. Hudson stepped forward, hands trembling, heart racing. Hi, Hudson, she breathed. Her voice held wonder, confusion, and something soft that melted him instantly. You are back. With a purpose, he replied, his smile faltering under the weight of emotion swelling inside him. His throat tightened. And with your father's permission, he added, half laughing through the nerves. She blinked. My father's. Her words cut off when she noticed what he held, the small velvet box nearly shaking in his hand. Her lips parted as tears shimmered into place. But Hudson was not ready for tears yet. Not until he said every word he had held inside for 15 years. He took another step, then another. When he stood before her, he slowly dropped to one knee on the paint-splattered hardwood floor. The children's artwork framed the moment like a blessing. Vanya Young, he whispered, voice thick, you were the first person who ever saw me. Not the Holt name, not my future. Not the expectations stuck to me like chains. Just me. Her hand flew to her mouth. He opened the box, revealing a simple but breathtaking ring, gold band, a single tear-shaped diamond that shimmered like light on water. You have always been my heart. Even when I could not come home to you. His voice broke. My black queen, can I spend my life loving you? A sob slipped from her as she nodded furiously, tears streaming. Yes, she choked out. Yes, Hudson. Yes. He slid the ring onto her trembling finger, and the second he rose, she flung herself into his arms. He held her as though shielding her from the world, burying his face in her hair while she cried against his chest. His own tears fell silently, the years of distance and pain and longing dissolving into the warmth of her embrace. When they finally pulled back, Vanya cupped his face. You came back. You kept your promise. He smiled through wet lashes. Forever is forever. Planning a wedding between two families who had once lived in different universes was a delicate dance. But slowly, beautifully, the dance began to smooth. The Holts surprised them first. One morning, Vanya's father arrived at his coffee shop, Young's Coffee Cove, to find contractors outside, smiling and ready to begin work. Hudson's mother stepped out of a sleek black SUV. Mr. Young, she said, clasping her hands nervously. Your shop has always felt like a second home to Hudson. We would like to support its expansion if you will allow us. Vanya's father, a man who rarely showed surprise, blinked rapidly 3 times. You want to help me? If you will have us, she said gently. He swallowed hard, eyes softening. Then yes, thank you. Meanwhile, the Holt patriarch, the hardest to read, the slowest to bend, paid a visit to the art center. He toured quietly, his suit looking oddly out of place beside finger-painted murals and glitter explosions. But when he reached the room where children sculpted clay animals, he paused. A little girl tugged at his sleeve. Do you know how to make a puppy? He blinked. I know. I can teach you, she declared confidently. The ice around him cracked a little that day. Later that week, Trucks arrived delivering hundreds of donated sketchbooks, easels, and watercolor palettes, each box stamped with the Holt Innovations logo. "From my parents," Hudson said simply, handing Vania the note his mother had written. "Thank you for helping children become who they dream of being. We hope to support that dream." Vania pressed the note to her heart and whispered, This means more than they know." The day arrived wrapped in sunlight and possibility. The venue, a restored greenhouse filled with hanging vines and warm golden light, felt like stepping into a living dream. Soft piano music flowed through the air as guests arrived. Businessmen in tailored suits, artists in flowing skirts, old church friends, curious neighbors, beaming children from the art center. It was their wedding. At the entrance, two families once worlds apart stood greeting guests together. Hudson waited at the altar, hands clasped, heart pounding so hard he thought the entire greenhouse might hear it. He wore a tailored charcoal suit, but all he could do was tug nervously at the cuffs, glancing repeatedly at the entrance. Then the music changed. The doors opened, and Vania stepped in. Her dress was a flowing ivory lace with gold, accents that shimmered like sun on water. A soft veil trailed behind her. Her father held her arm, his face crumpling with joy as he whispered, "My little girl." Hudson's breath left him. His eyes stung instantly. He did not even pretend to hide the tears. As she walked toward him, every moment of his life rearranged itself around this one. Vania reached him and mouthed, "You are crying." He nodded helplessly. "You are perfect." She squeezed his hands. "So are you." The ceremony felt like a promise written by fate itself. They spoke their vows through tears and trembling laughter. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Hudson kissed her with both hands, cupping her face, pouring every missed year, every unspoken emotion into the moment. Their families, sitting together for the first time in history, stood and applauded. Some cried. Some laughed. All smiled. It was everything neither of them had believed possible. The Colorado mountains greeted them with crisp air and quiet beauty. Their cabin, tucked between towering pines, felt like a world untouched by time. They hiked during the day, their laughter echoing across valleys. Vania painted the mountains while Hudson sketched her painting. In the evenings, wrapped in blankets beside the fireplace, they talked about everything they had endured, everything they still hoped for. One night, as snow drifted softly outside, Vania whispered, "Hudson, are you happy?" He looked at her with the kind of love that did not need words. "I have never been anything else since the day I found you again." The honeymoon was not about extravagance, it was about healing. It was where they pieced together the fragments of their past and stitched them into something whole, something strong enough to weather anything. By the time they returned home, they were not just married, they were unshakable. 1 year later, Hudson held his breath as the doctor announced, "A boy and a girl." Two cries pierced the room, tiny, fierce, perfect. Vania sobbed with joy while Hudson pressed trembling kisses to her forehead. "Twins," he whispered, voice breaking. "We made twins." When the nurses placed the babies in their arms, Hudson felt the universe collapse into two small bundles of life. Their son had Vania's eyes. Their daughter had his dimples. The Holts arrived within hours, bursting into tears as they held their grandchildren. Vania's father practically wrestled Hudson's father for baby-holding turns. "Give me my grandson back," Mr. Young snapped playfully. "You have held him for 10 minutes, Mr. Holt protested. Vania laughed through happy tears. Hudson watched the scene, barely able to speak. His throat felt thick, overflowing with gratitude. Their fractured families were now bound by love neither prejudice nor stubbornness could break. Then came the twins' birthday. The celebration took place in Austin, a symbolic gesture of unity. The Holts opened their estate grounds for the party, filling it with balloon arches, bounce houses, and an enormous art station where children could paint on massive canvas walls. Vania's father arrived carrying cupcakes shaped like paint palettes. The Holts rushed to embrace him. "Mr. Young," Hudson's mother cried, "we saved you a seat beside us." Hudson's father shook his hand with genuine warmth. "Glad you are here." The sight made Hudson's chest ache with relief, with pride, with something deeper than happiness. Throughout the day, the twins crawled and toddled between relatives who adored them. Vania's father fed them tiny pieces of cupcake, declaring loudly, "Grandpa's treats are better than gourmet anything." As the sun dipped low, casting warm amber light across the estate, Hudson wrapped his arms around Vania from behind. She leaned into him, resting her head against his shoulder. He whispered into her hair, "Forever was not just a promise. She smiled softly. It is real. He pressed a kiss to her temple. Everything I ever dreamed of is here. And as their children laughed and the sun dipped over Austin, Hudson knew he had finally come home to the only place that ever mattered, her heart. Thank you for being part of Whispers of Hope. Your love and support mean more than words. Together we're spreading light, one whisper at a time.